Welcome everyone, my name is Kaylin Fazio. I'm a registered yoga teacher and I recently took the LSAT back in, I guess, February and also October. So I'm a little bit familiar with the stress of it and also want to be here tonight to help provide as a little bit of support, little bit of relaxation for your test taking experience, the studying experience, the general admissions process. So thank you for joining me. And I have in the chat below, or in the chat, you can see my waiver. So remember, your participation in this class means your agreement to my waiver. So please check that out. You can also contact me. I have my email there and my Facebook and Instagram. You can find me there to contact me if you have any questions about yoga, meditation, private sessions. I teach privately, both yoga and meditation. So let's go ahead and get started. Tonight's class will be first going through some meditation techniques that you can add to your, just seeing some messages. We'll be going through some meditation techniques that you can add to your toolbox as ways to help you calm down if you're feeling a little stressed with exam prep. So first, we'll go through a little bit of meditation and also explaining why meditation and mindfulness practice in general is helpful for test taking and stressful experiences in general. And then we'll be doing some yoga this evening. It will be seated yoga. We'll be moving through some physical poses. So that's the one side of yoga practice is the asana, or the physical poses that have some meaning incorporated into them and are ways that we can use postures to help our body relax or release stress or things like that. So let's get started tonight. Welcome to anyone who's joining. So let's go ahead and just take one big breath in through your nose. We'll start there. Take a breath in and let it go. Tonight we might be moving through some things that are familiar with you. We also might be trying some things that are very different. So just be aware that, do what you're comfortable with. Don't put any stress or strain on your body. Take things where you want to go. You don't ever have to listen to me, trust your own practice, your own body, your own breath. And we'll continue to breathe a little bit of peace. Right now, we're bringing some quiet into our lives. A little bit of stepping away from the craziness of today or this week or whatever's going on in your life right now. It's nice to start everything that we do, but every session of meditation, of practice of any sort, that could even mean your LSAT practice, with a little bit of silence. The silence helps us ground and center ourselves. So begin in your mind to step away from anything going on. One way we can do that is by anchoring our attention to our breathing. We'll give you a couple moments to check in with your breathing. Listen to it. Notice anything about it. Does the temperature of the air feel cold or warm? Do your breaths feel shallow, maybe deep? And whatever that is for you, whatever you're noticing about your breathing, it's okay. We're here in this space to be a present observer. We're not here to judge anything, any experience we have, or any thoughts we have. We're just taking some time to observe. And this is sort of the root of mindfulness, is being an observer without judgment. I should say one of the roots of mindfulness. So you might notice things coming into your mind. Maybe your mind's wandering a little bit. And whatever's happening, that's okay. Just bring it right back to your breath, to your inhales and exhales. Your mind wandering is something that your mind is meant to do. So no fear of that. Whether you have to bring your mind back 1 or 100 times this evening, or 1,000, it's all a practice. The more we practice just that little thought of, oh, my mind's traveling somewhere else, I'm going to bring it right back. The more we practice that, the easier it gets. We don't have to control our mind or pressure it one way or another. We can just gently guide it this evening. That's okay. So stay present to your breath. And we'll take just a minute in silence so that you can stay present to yourself. Well, let's return out of that silent minute with one big inhale together, and exhale and let it go. So that was a little bit of mindfulness meditation that we just practiced. And now I'd like to take some time to explain what that did and how it can be relevant to studying. So we did a couple of things. We were using our concentration in a couple of ways. So your mind can wander even when it's idle. So when we bring our mind back from that wandering or traveling to other thoughts, other things going on in our head or going on in the world around us, we bring our mind back. That's a practice of concentration. And that's one of the things I've found very helpful personally for my LSAT practice is when I'm starting to go from, I'm on one question and then I'm thinking about another section of the test. Either, oh no, what's going to be on this future section, or what about that question that I did a couple sections back? I'm kind of worried. What should I do? Was that wrong? Was it right? This practice of bringing your mind back to the present is something that I found very useful, and some people can find that very useful for concentration and focus. But that really, that comes down to what you find useful. Different things resonate with different people. So there's going to be a couple of tools for your toolbox this evening. But one thing we also did in that little practice is using our breath to calm us and focus us. So, along with the practice of mental concentration, our breath served as an anchor. That is very helpful when we're kind of starting to feel mild stress. Maybe like trying to pull yourself out of like some worries or your thoughts racing, or maybe not racing, but like mildly racing. So that's one thing to focus on to settle your body and your mind, is using your breath as an anchor. And we'll move into that a little more. So yeah, and I will invite, if anyone in the room has any questions for that first little practice, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'd be happy to read them and facilitate anything, the clarification. Otherwise, we'll kind of move on to the next section, but I'll keep an eye out. So this next practice is something that you can do with moderate stress levels as you start to get a little more stressed. So maybe I wouldn't say like highly stressed, but as you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting a little uneasy, this is a practice that can, using your breath, so you can do it anywhere really. But using your breath, you can help calm down your mind and your body as well. So let's begin by just sitting nice and tall or lying down. Really, you can pick whatever comfortable stance you're in. But you can think of a situation that you might have found a little stressful lately. So we can practice this kind of almost as if that situation is happening. So don't choose something too stressful, but something that, maybe you think of and you're like, that was kind of stressful. This way it gives us a tangible way to practice this, and it feels more natural as we start incorporating it into our lives. So wherever that situation is, go ahead and recall what was going on. And in that situation, you might notice feel a little more tense. This tension can be maybe in your muscles, in your shoulders, your fists. Could even be in your breath. Your breath might be a little more shallow. Just start by noticing any tension that's coming up. Be aware of how your body is responding to this mental or emotional stressor. So this can be, before a practice test, whatever it might be for you. Recall like those feelings of stress and tension. And now we'll start a practice of something that we can use when the stress levels are a little higher. Just a little bit though, so take it easy. And you can always exit out of your simulation if you're like, this is too much for tonight. You're totally invited to do that. So recall that feeling of tension. And now bring your attention to your breath. Wherever it is at this moment, let that be okay with you. Whatever your breath is doing, however it's feeling, let it be okay. Take a few inhales and exhales in this state without modifying or changing or judging anything. And once you're feeling a little more closer to your breath, a little more aligned to that anchor, we're going to start changing our breath. If it's okay with, where you're at right now, we'll take an inhale, and we'll take that inhale for 4 counts. And then exhale for 4 counts. You can take this at your own pace. I'll count, but feel free to take whatever pace you're at. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale out. 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue that pace, whatever pace you have. Just keep breathing with it. In for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale back out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue this with whatever pace is most comfortable for you. The habit of counting our breaths can be very helpful for just putting our mind on something else than what's exactly in front of us. So with these counts, we're focusing on the counting, on the breathing, and not on the stressor. And if you feel comfortable with these, the 4 in and 4 out, that's one time you can move to take inhales for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale and draw that out a little longer. Draw out your exhale for 5 counts. I'm gonna go ahead and let's go into the room. Welcome. And if you're just joining us, go ahead and you can find the waiver for this practice in the chat box. Just want to pleasantly remind you of that. And your participation in this means your agreement to the waiver. Just a friendly little legal reminder. We're all future lawyers here, right? So wherever you're at, stay with the breath. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, and it can be longer. You might want to count to 5. And with your inhales, fill up deep through your lungs. You might even notice the feeling of filling up fully air 360 degrees all around in your chest. And exhale, let that air out slowly. As your body and your mind begin to calm down, you might find it more and more comfortable to lengthen out those exhales. So take an inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale back out. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can keep going. You still have that air left. Well, this is a practice, like I mentioned. It can be used in a more stressful situation. You still have that aspect of focusing on your breath, but there's another thing here, and that's the counting, and that can take your mind away from the situation a little bit. And if counting and if focus on your breath is not working for you, that's totally okay. Or if it feels like uncomfortable, that's okay. There's a couple other options you can have. One of them is looking at a wall in front of you, a singular point on a wall. You can focus on your hands or on another body part and just bring your awareness to that. Some people even like to focus on a phrase or a word and let their attention rest there. So there's a lot of different options for focus, lot of different anchors that you can use in your practice. Um, yeah, and we'll begin some little bit of movement this evening as well. But like final word on meditation. Um, I found it for me personally helpful to meditate for about 5 minutes. So nothing like a big commitment, just something to make me feel a little more grounded before my practice tests. So take 5 minutes before that practice test, calm down, let my mind just kind of get used to concentrating and used to focusing. And I found that, I never quantified how that made a difference, but the way I approached a practice test from that mindset, I felt a little more confident and a little more happy with my focus levels, especially once I took that aspect of judgment out. So that was nice. So yeah, you can, I encourage everyone who's comfortable with it to bring meditation as a practice into their LSAT prep. It has a lot of benefits, from the more mental benefits of concentration and focus to the more like emotional benefits of feeling calmer, more confident, and just in general, some people like to meditate because of a greater sense of, what maybe more of a spiritual aspect. But some people also find, their deeper purpose through meditation. So that's definitely not something to disqualify either. So yeah, meditation has so many purposes and so many ways that we can use it and get a little more grounded in our lives, and yeah, try to accomplish goals as well. So yeah, but let's move on to a little bit of movement this evening. Um, we're going to be remaining seated for all of this yoga practice. Um, we'll be moving through some poses and linking them to our breath. This is kind of the power behind yoga, is moving with our breath. Um, so we'll be staying a lot with this force of life this evening. So find a seated position. You can be seated on a chair. I'll be doing it on the ground. So if you're on a chair, you definitely want to modify and make room for that. Make sure you're secure on a chair. If you choose chair, and we'll also be doing some poses that you can do at a desk. So don't feel like you can only do this in a seated position on a mat. These are poses that you can take to just calm your body down a little bit before you study, perhaps, or if you're sitting at your desk, whenever you need a break. having a little bit of movement to ground you, make you feel a little more centered is an awesome way to practice the mental preparation for the LSAT. So hopefully you're seated and ready to move only slightly. We won't be doing anything too intense this evening. So go ahead, like most things, we are going to start with a breath. Nice big inhale. Exhale, let it out with a sigh. Bring your attention to your spine. We'll be moving today with our spine to get us started. So we'll be moving through some seated cat-cow positions. So I'll move to the side for this one so you can see easily. Take your hands to your knees wherever they're at and curl your spine on your exhale. Look down towards your belly. You might have to sit on the edge of the chair for this, but look down. And then on your inhale, we're going to draw our shoulder blades back in together. Now look forward and look up. Draw your shoulder blades down. Keep breathing wherever you're at. Arch your back. And then exhale. On your next exhale, we're curving our spine again from tailbone to the top of your head. Curve your spine out. And inhale to a long spine. This is our seated cow pose. Exhale, transition to our seated cat pose. Move through your shoulder blades for this. Move through your whole spine, tailbone included, neck included. You just want to avoid any strain on your neck or pushing your spine too far. You can even stay in one of these positions if you'd like. But just keep breathing if you're gonna hold it. Otherwise, move with your breath. Exhale and curve your spine. Inhale, lengthen out and draw those shoulder blades down. And then we'll find some stillness. Back to seated. Walk one hand to the side. We are moving up and over. Take a nice big stretch through your top hand. If you're on a chair, you'll want to brace yourself on the side of the chair. Breathe through your top lung. Your eyes can look wherever they're comfortable. This might be up at your fingertips, at the edge of your elbow. You could also look down towards your other hand. Think about pressing your opposite hip over here into the ground. You might feel this stretch in your hip flexors or the tissue between your leg and your torso. It really depends on your body. We're coming up and out of it. Exhale, move back to center. Inhale, other hand comes up. Walk your other hand out. And we'll breathe here. You can think about pulling your shoulder blades together at your back. And this will open up your chest a little more. You can play with twisting a little more upwards towards the sky too. But wherever you're at, just take it where you want it to go. Feel the stretch that you want to feel. And if you're finding any pain or discomfort, just back out of it. This evening should be a very relaxing practice. Nothing that would be too intense on your body. Exhale, we're coming out of it. Back to a neutral spine. Sit up tall. And we're going to take a twist. So inhale, both arms up above your body. And on your exhale, we're going to twist to one side. If you're on a chair, hand to the outside of your leg, hold yourself on the back of the chair. And if you're seated on the ground, just hand to your knee. You can look over your back shoulder if that's comfortable. And we'll breathe here. Think about twisting through your entire spine. Every vertebrae gets a little bit of a twist. Inhale back to center. Arms up above your head, stretch it out, wiggle your fingers, and then twist to the other side. There's a lot of thought around twists and how they can be beneficial to our bodies. One of the theories and ideas is that they can restrict the blood flow to some of the organs and kind of rejuvenate the organs in that way. That's just one thought. Especially for the spine, the movement in a twist can be very helpful. Just to get your body loosened up. Your spine is what's supporting you all day. So showing it some love is always nice. Inhale back to center, unwinding out of it. Reach up, and we're going to take a gentle forward fold. Just something to loosen out. Our low backs, if you're on a chair, be very mindful to not just fall right over the chair. We are just going to stretch it out. Lower down as far as is comfortable. If you notice any tension in your low back, don't put really intense pressure on it. You can stretch, but still be gentle. You don't want to pull anything, especially as we're just warming up right now. You can let your eyes go to the ground in our forward fold. I will let you know when we're coming back up and out of this. But for now, just enjoy it. Invite any bit of tension to leave your body. You might notice tension in your face, your jaw. Just be aware of it. Invite it to go. And slowly walk your hands back up. We're coming up and out of this. And now we will bring our attention to the rest of our bodies, past our spines. But let's bring our attention to our hands first. This is a nice way to get moving before sitting at a desk. We're going to go ahead and take some wrist rolls. You can bring your hands together, just draw figure eights with your wrists. If you're typing a lot or working at a computer, your wrists and your hands are doing a lot of work all throughout the day. Make sure you go the opposite way too. Stay nice and gentle. Our wrists can be very fragile, very delicate. And then go ahead and take your hands. We're going to just circle those wrists separately now. Draw big circles with your hands. Go ahead and take it the other way. Wherever you're at, just breathe here. We're just gonna, form of self-care this evening. We're gonna loosen up, take care of our joints, our bodies, our minds. And then stretch your hands out, shake them out maybe a little bit. And let's go ahead and pull gently our fingertips back. Something to stretch out, maybe a little bit more of our forearm, maybe our hands as well. Go ahead and gently press those hands back. Straighten out long through your hand. Breathe here, wherever you're at. Flip your fingertips downwards. We're going to stretch out top of our forearm, top of our wrist. Nice and gentle. We'll show love for each and every one of our fingers. So go ahead and just take a gentle pull on each fingertip. Just something to stretch them out. Don't like your knuckles cracking or popping. Be very gentle with this. But some people like the little bit of massage in their hands. We're going to go ahead and bring our attention to our thumb. Gently press your thumb back. Might feel this in your palm, maybe even in your wrist. And we'll go ahead and press the thumb down a little bit. Just bringing movement into our hands. Something to make our bodies feel a little more cared for. And now we'll take our attention to the other hand. We'll start that same way we did on the other side. Fingertips pointing up. Gently press those fingertips back. The more you straighten out your arm, you might feel a stretch deeper down your entire arm. We'll do that if that's comfortable. And we'll point those fingertips down. Great things to do before you get seated at a desk or once you get seated at a desk. We'll bring some love to every finger on our hand. Give a nice gentle tug. Maybe even massaging out your fingers as you do this. And some mindfulness, self-care to your thumb too. I've noticed after long days of typing and computer work, hands can get pretty tired. So this is one way to stretch them out. Thumb back down. And let's point both hands up. Fingertips up and then down. You can take this as fast or as slow as you'd like. If you're taking it slower, you might want to even think about how it's feeling in the rest of your arms. You can feel these little movements in your, of course, in your wrists, maybe even in your forearms, maybe even in your shoulders a little bit. And drop all the tension out of your hands. Let your hands relax a little bit. And notice how they feel. Might feel a little more rested, a little more free. Now let's bring the movements up through our arms into our shoulders. One way we'll take our arms out to either side. And we're going to do little circles with our arms. Start one way. We'll definitely get the other side too. And while you're doing this, keep breathing, of course. If you notice any stress coming to your shoulders or your jaw, now is a great time to just take a sigh and let it out. And we'll go the other way with these arm circles. So if you're sitting at a desk, of course, we can sometimes find ourselves hunched over. In this way, we're loosening up some of those shoulder muscles so we can sit a little taller, a little straighter. The shoulder muscles and the back muscles that support us while we sit. That's what we're working on a little bit. And then we'll bring some movement into our shoulders. So we'll roll our shoulders forward. Inhale with your up, bringing your shoulders up. Exhale, drop them down and roll them. Breathe with those shoulder rolls. So in this way, we're doing a lot of little movements connected to our breath. And we'll switch the other way. Inhale up towards you, or towards the front, up, and then drop them back down. So especially shoulder rolls are things that you can do even during a test. I find shoulder rolls some of the most beneficial for me to let some tension out, move a little bit to release tension that I find in my shoulders a lot. Now let's just bring some stillness to our shoulders. And we will lengthen out our legs. So even if you're sitting, you can still do this. Sitting in a chair, I should say. We're just going to bring similar movements to our legs. That way we can, just get everything kind of loose, and then do a few restful poses for the rest of this evening. So we'll start with some ankle rolls. Do both feet. It's a little less formal with this. Just make sure you switch the other side. Bringing movements. And then go ahead and point your toes and flex them. You might want to think about flexing through your toes all the way through the soles of your feet. And then pointing all the way through the tops of your feet. So engaging all the little muscles in your feet. There's so many muscles and bones in your feet. They do a lot to support us, all the places we go. So show them some love too. Flex and point. You might want to hold one of these, maybe longer. Find ways to stretch those little muscles in your feet a little more. Move into muscles that we sometimes forget about in our feet. All right, we'll bring some stillness there. And we'll go ahead and take one knee in towards our chest. We're gonna do another twist. Twists are nice ways to feel like we're releasing out of our body. So knee into the chest, couple options here. And this one is probably better suited for the ground, but you can modify if you'd like by just doing a regular seated twist. So either knee in your chest, you could also take your foot and cross it to the other side of your leg. And then we're gonna hook our arm around the knee, use our other hand to kickstand behind us, and we're gonna twist. In your twist, think about lengthening and sitting up tall, a little taller, and on your exhale, think about twisting deeper. There's a few places you might feel this. You might feel it in your hip, you might feel it in your low back. You might even feel it in your glutes. And exhale, we're gonna come on out of it, lengthen out the leg, and twist to the other side. So knee into the chest, option to cross that knee over, cross the foot over, I should say. Hook your arm around your knee, and we are twisting. So this brings a little movement into our hips. I should say a little bit of stretch. Inhale, lengthen, tall. Exhale, twist. To get even a little bit deeper, you can twist and draw that shoulder blade together towards the spine. Gently release out of it. Now this is one that can be very easily modified for a chair. We're going to come into a figure four pose or a modified half pigeon. So go ahead and take your leg. We're going to take our leg and just set the ankle on the knee. And if you find any pain in your knee in this pose, go ahead and back off a bit. There's a few other options for this, but definitely if your knee is hurting, go ahead and come out of it. So for this, we are going to just start by sitting nice and tall. Notice how your hip, the hip on the side that your knee is of, is feeling. If it's feeling really tight, you might just want to stay here. Flex through your foot. This way, your knee is less likely to do some funky twisting. So definitely protect the knee by flexing your foot. And if you're feeling good here, you can bring your foot closer. Press your low belly, maybe even a little closer to your thigh. Feel a little bit of a deeper stretch in your hip. Breathe through this here. If you're noticing any tension in your face, release it. If you want to, you can smile. A couple places you can take this in the future. If you really like this stretch, you can always find yourself lying on your back and drawing your thigh a little closer. You get even a deeper stretch. But for now, let's go ahead and release out of it. Both legs out long in front of you. Shake out your feet, either side, like windshield wipers. And we are bringing the other knee in, and we're doing the other side now. So whatever ankle was on top, we're gonna be switching. Get yourself situated. Get your bones in alignment. Flex that foot to protect the knee. Your hands can be behind you to help support your spine. For a little more of alignment in your body, think about creating a straight spine from your tailbone to the top of your head. If you notice yourself dropping into your shoulders, lift up through your shoulders. It might be a little more intense, a little bit more of a strength thing when you're lifting up and out of your shoulders. But find what works for you tonight. Take it easy on your body. You can bring your foot a little closer. You want a little bit of a deeper stretch. And keep breathing. Like always, keep breathing. In the poses that we hold for a little longer, you might find your mind wandering again. This is the same practice as we were doing before, just bringing your mind back to the present moment, whatever's going on in the here and now. And remember, your breath can always be that anchor to bring you back. And we're gonna lengthen out our legs, windshield wiper them side to side. And we will enter into our final pose, our resting pose of Savasana. So we'll stay here for just a couple of minutes. I'm actually gonna stay seated, and if you're in a chair, you can also stay seated. But if you're on the ground, you may wanna set a timer. If you easily fall asleep, like I do sometimes, we'll just be here for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, to release the tension out of our bodies. Savasana is one way to, it's a pose of final surrender. We let everything go in this pose. Some people think this might be an easy pose, but in fact, it can be very difficult to just surrender all of our thoughts and worries and all of the tension in our muscles and just lie down and relax. So I'll move through it. That way you can see first, and then I'll join you back by sitting. But in Savasana, if you want to take it on the ground, stretch your legs out long in front of you. You can let your feet fall to either side. And then go ahead and find yourself on your back. Your hands, your palms can face up towards the sky. For one last time, draw those shoulder blades together in your back. And let your shoulders fall open towards the sky. So the tension is out of your feet. Rest your back. Rest your hands, your legs, your arms. You might want to lift your head just gently, lengthen out your neck, and then place your head back down on the ground. And I'm going to move back to seated. But if you were to stay in that pose for a little longer, you can use some props to make yourself feel more and more comfortable. And this might mean using a pillow or a blanket, whatever you might want to make yourself comfortable. But for now, as you're in your Savasana, your final resting pose, wherever you're at, whether that's in a chair or on the ground, go ahead and you are invited to close your eyes if you'd like, or soften your gaze. Let your back breath return to its natural state. Don't have to think about your inhales or your exhales anymore. Just release them. Release them to your body to do what's most natural. And as you rest here, you might find the tension just melting away. Your body surrendering to gravity, your muscles melting into the mat or into the chair. We'll stay here a couple moments in silence so that you can feel your body relaxing. Let's begin to come up and out of this place of stillness by bringing small movements to your fingertips. Your fingertips and toes. Your hands and your feet. Then bring your arms up above you. Stretch out long. Take a breath. Nice big inhale and exhale like you're getting out of bed in the morning. And then gently make your way back to seated if you're not already there. And we will close this evening as we traditionally close yoga practices by honoring each other and the practice, the breath that we each bring. So I thank each and every one of you, and in recognizing your dignity in life, together we say namaste. Thanks for joining me, everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, Facebook, or Instagram. But other than that, yeah, feel free to throw some questions in there, and we will. I think that's about it. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.